We are the Quadcast.
Hello, I'm Lucas.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Jack.
I'm Danica.
And today we're going to be discussing Zora Neale Hurston's The Rise of Watching God. We're going to analyze the book, starting with the differences between the movie and the book.
So one thing.
Let's talk about the water.
Actually, yeah, the water.
The water?
Yeah, the ending of the movie and the book were very different. The movie tied more in with the symbolicness of the water and how when she.
The movie did more with the water than I think the book did, and I think the book probably should have done that as well.
They definitely should have.
Yeah.
Because I think it was mentioned more in the movie actually than it was in the book, but the book made it more symbolic.
Which
and then
honestly is a real bummer because the book went in more detail with everything than the movie did.
it did.
Because the movie was more focused on the love and the romantic aspect. And the book dove deep into everything as far as racial differences, cultural differences, community struggles, and everything like that. So I feel like the symbolism for the water should have been a lot more prominent in the book, but it's weird that it was more prominent in the movie.
Yeah.
Because in the book it was just one-off thing, like the thing her nanny just dips her into the water when she's younger, and then that's it. But in the movie they make it where she repeatedly goes back there.
Right.
And how she cleanses herself, and a much better way to end it off instead of like in the book she went like to her bedroom.
Yeah,
in the
I
movie
think
she comes back to the water.
She just went
cleanses herself again.
upstairs.
Yeah.
I think in the book she just went upstairs to her bedroom and
That's it?
I think it said like she like combed her hair out and then went to bed.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a complete
That's the
ending
symbolic
for her.
ending.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
water in the
Literal.
movie, I feel like it represents more of like the ending of her relationships. Like when it's finished, she goes to the water, she cleanses herself from that previous relationship, and then she moves on to the next one. Obviously, we don't see her
Resetting
move
herself.
on to another, but yeah, resetting herself. Yeah.
Rejuvenating
And
herself.
maybe not even moving on to the next man.
Moving
but
on to her
maybe a
independence.
self-love.
Yeah.
Or yeah, maybe more freedom. Every time she cleanses, she gets more freedom because her relationships go from like super strict, you have to work, to okay, you can't talk, to do both however you want.
Right.
Just love me
And now
and stay with
at the end of the movie she's like cleansing herself of everything and she's like
Exactly,
taking
now
back, like,
she's on her own.
independence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
And
feel
it
like
kind of leads to her journey of like self-discovery and independence and
It does.
self-love.
Yeah, I feel like another thing that the movie did differently was all of the characters that they took out and like the plot lines.
Yeah, no side characters in the movie.
No side, which took away from like the community aspect that we see, like the differences.
Yeah, that theme was gone.
Yeah, like in the book we can clearly compare the community in Eatonville versus the community in the Muck. And because we have like all of those characters, we have all of these like relationships and friendships that we can look at. And in the movie, it's just everything's gone.
Well, it still dives into Eatonville. Like you still see the
Eatonville,
jealousy of
but
It's
Eatonville.
it's not even necessarily diving into Eatonville. Eatonville. It's more so diving into Jody and the way that he treats.
Yes.
Right.
The way that he treats Janie. And
It focuses on romance.
Right,
Yeah.
and it focuses on how it barely even touches how the community reacts to their relationship, if that makes sense. And seeing him hit her and seeing him silence her, I mean, it just ever so slightly grazes that topic.
The movie focuses like on the narrative of like the love and the romance. Well, the book is more like an adventure romance and like a drama with everything else tied in.
With a lot more
it's a
morals to it as
journey.
well.
Yeah, and the movie is just strictly just romance, taking everything.
Yeah,
else
when you
out.
read that
So
book,
it skips the characters,
you
everything else.
learn a lot more about like the
more
experience of
fleshed out.
and the experience of like a black woman back then. You learn a lot more about that. Whereas in the movie, it's so simple. They simplify it so much. They completely remove the mule too. The entire idea of the mule.
The mule.
The woman being the mule. I feel like that's such a
It was
beautiful way to write it.
It was a
such
major
a
part of
genius
the book
idea,
too.
beautiful metaphor, and then the movie just destroys it.
Away. Yeah, and it completely watered down the entire story. And honestly, it was a slap in the face to the writer.
Especially with like the constant first of all, the constant comparison of like women being compared to mules and livestock and being treated as such. But I think it also, because we see the mule and it belongs to this guy named Matt, and everyone makes fun of it because it doesn't do what it's told and it's weak and all that. And then Jody buys the mule, and before Jody buys the mule, we don't really see any like disrespect in Jody and Janie's relationship. They're kind of normal. And then he buys the mule, and that's when we kind of slowly start to see his like
That shift.
hold of Janie. Yeah, the shift in his demeanor towards Janie when he's taking ownership of the mule. He's taking ownership of Janie, and then the mule dies, and like it dies. Its life is ending, and I feel like that was like a major symbolism to Janie's life ending and her freedom ending with Jody at the same time as the mule died. I feel like that was such like a major and like intense thing that was just completely taken away from the movie. And I feel like it would have been great to see that like acted out and like portrayed at the same time.
Yeah.
They were definitely too focused on TK.
They were too focused.
Because they did focus entirely too much on Jody and Janie, but I feel like they sped through that process as well, and that's why the mule wasn't brought up, because they wanted to get to TK.
I can agree with that.
They just wanted to have two hot actors.
They really
pretty much.
They really
Pretty
did.
much.
I mean, and not to mention the insane amount of sex scenes.
That is
Kind
a
of wild.
softcore porno.
Kind of wild. That should not have been a prominent thing.
I mean, it makes sense for the romance aspect because they just love each other so much, whatever. But when there's so much depth to a story and you just completely rip that away just to focus
on
sex
love.
and love, and it's so distasteful.
Yeah, I feel like the director just wanted to make their own movie, and I think they're clearly a tea cake glazer, because as much as I think tea cake was the better one, you have to admit all three of these guys have really bad downfalls about them. The only one we see with tea cake is his gambling addiction, and that only pops up for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Right.
Like even stealing her money and
That was another thing.
and lying about the party, like no, they just go to a party together. Like I feel like the director just wanted to make their own story here, and just stole this one and said, "Oh, I'm just gonna go crazy with it, whatever." And Tea Cake is, I found this hot actor, so we're just gonna make a whole movie about Tea Cake and how great he is and his sacrifice of life. Like no, dude, that's ridiculous.
The movie's version of Tea Cake is a lot different, because in the movie they make him way more trustworthy. Because I remember in the book, like he goes off several times and like he tells her the story.
He leaves. He takes her money. He parties without her for nights.
And if that story's even true that he told her,
right?
And in the movie, he doesn't do any of that. He's there with her the whole time.
He brings her with him. He tells her where he's going.
Immediately tells her he lost all her money gambling and
Right, he
the
doesn't
car.
lie to her as much.
They change his character and they make him a lot more trustworthy. So
Right,
it's sort of to
because
make
they
their love
wanted-
more genuine.
Yeah, because they wanted to enhance that rather
they
than
make their love
focus
more
on
genuine.
like the hardships that she's going
Exactly.
through.
This movie completely missed the mark on what the book is about. It's not about romance. It's about a black woman's struggle back then. And this movie completely missed the mark. It just focused on the romance aspect, thinking that that's going to hit big on the market, or that's the only thing that the director liked about it.
Yeah.
It's just a romance that takes place in the setting of the book, really.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
And I feel like another big thing that they took away in the movie was Janie as a kid not understanding that she was not white.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that was a major thing.
Yeah, the
'cause
racism
in
just
the-
entirely stripped.
gone. Yeah, because in the novel, when Janie is telling Phoebe the story of her life, she's telling her, "Oh, when I was a kid, I thought I was like everybody else," meaning she thought she was white.
Yeah.
And then when she looks at a photograph of herself, she couldn't recognize herself because it was a black child, and she did not know that she was black. And they completely took that in the movie, and I feel like that would have been a major thing that you would want to have in your story about a black woman going through hard times. But no, they just focused
That's
on
what the movie doesn't focus on.
romance.
It's just a romance.
Yeah, they also get rid of the rape of her grandmother and her mother.
that was not even brought up.
Not a part of the story at all.
The hardship just completely stripped from the movie. It's like they faced no hardships except for a hurricane and Jody beating her once.
Yeah.
Right.
That is
And
the only hardships they
those-
face. It's ridiculous.
the hardships, that's no matter what they were, those hardships were so important, especially for her character development.
They were.
And one thing that the movie directors failed to realize, it wasn't just her relationships that allowed her to mature and allowed her to grow in herself. It was also growing up the way that she did as a black woman in that time.
Yeah.
And suffering through those hardships. And I find it absolutely insane that her parents were not mentioned they were not mentioned at all.
Because it was a major part in the very beginning of the novel, how her dad was like, how people what they like suspected her dad of being a bad person, or
Yeah,
like having
they
the
ran-
cops after him or something.
Yeah, they like ran him for town or something.
Right.
because he raped her mom.
And that was
And they said like the
disregarded.
dog shot him and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, it
It's
doesn't,
just, it's,
it doesn't add to the romance, which is all that the movie was going.
yeah, exactly.
So
It's
they just
kind of
left it all
ironic how the story is about how a black woman gets stripped of so much, and then the movie completely
Stripped
strips her of everything
Yeah.
that she made in the book. It's ironic, really.
That-
Maybe
yeah.
that's the point of the movie. Maybe that's what it is.
Isn't it? It's proving what the book
Exactly.
is trying to.
Yeah, maybe it's a
against.
proof.
Yeah.
Shout out Dapper.
What?
Also, the pear tree was not a part of the movie.
The pear tree was also not a part of the
At
movie.
the start, they had one scene with it, and then it was never mentioned again. Whereas in the book, it's
They-
constantly come back to as a sense of her like.
Innocence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
They kind of replace it with the water in that sense.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I can agree, but they're different in the way of the pear tree is supposed to represent her childness and her innocence.
Like the kind of
Yeah.
the way that she admires and adores love.
Right.
what they represent is
her
different.
admiration for everything.
Exactly.
And the water is meant to be a symbol for cleansing and
Yeah.
rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
And they took one out and replaced it with the other, and that doesn't really fit the way that this novel is going at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it just fits that romance theme again, which is all the movie's about.
They or the major like symbols that were in the novel that I think they did okay with in the movie, like her hair,
Oh
how she was looked at differently because you could very much tell that she was mixed. And a way that you could see that was with how long her hair was, and it wasn't really super coiled at all. And
just, like,
she
wavy.
she uses that as like a freedom of sense.
Yeah, her hair
She
is her freedom.
expresses herself with her hair of being different. And when she gets with Jody, he sees, people admiring her hair and touching her hair, and he just absolutely rages. And he makes her cover her hair.
The movie hit the mark on that symbol.
Well,
They really
Yeah, they
did.
really did.
The book and the movie both did that well, and like in general, her hair, a symbol like her hair was, it showed like how she felt, like how her soul was doing. Because when it's tied up, she feels
Yeah.
trapped, but when it's let down, she feels more free and
Yeah,
independent.
and that's, I
It's
think-
representative of her soul.
Wasn't it like right in the movie? It was after Jody's funeral. She goes with I think Phoebe to like the field, and she like takes her hair down and
Yeah.
she's rolling around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just completely
Just
free.
that freedom from
Free
him.
of Jody. And
yeah.
I think that it's really significant that in the book, she mostly just felt relief after Jody died.
She
like,
did.
It wasn't.
She
And
felt
they
free.
represented that good in the movie too. They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just. I don't know. I stayed stuck on that for a while because it was just like at first it was this. It was like the pear tree, this innocent love.
Yeah,
like,
she was able to
he's
feel
taking
that
me away from
romance.
this, like, it's everything like that, and then it turns into thank God he's dead, basically. Like,
I mean, I don't think that it was really like, oh, thank God he's gone. But it was more of a, okay, he's gone. He can rest. I can rest.
right. I didn't
Separate
mean,
from each
thank
other.
God he's dead,
Yeah.
but,
No, I
like,
understand what
She
you
felt free above it all. Feeling it.
mean.
Let's transition now to Janie's love. Did she ever have true love, or was it an illusion of choice?
I believe all throughout illusion of choice.
I'm kind of leaning that way too.
I am so confident that every single relationship she got into was an illusion of choice, and that over time it became a lack thereof. Logan, I would disagree. Obviously, she was forced into that. But with Jody and Tea Cake, 100%, it was an illusion of
I
choice
feel
with both.
in the book it was an illusion of choice with both. In the movie, the way they portrayed it, with Jody, illusion of choice, but with Tea Cake, I think it was true.
The movie made
There
Tea
was
Cake
never
look like
an
a big.
illusion of choice with Jody. She knew she was being controlled 100%.
That is true. It
At
just
the
wasn't love.
beginning, she felt.
Okay, at the beginning, but at the
When they
beginning
first
he
got
wasn't
together.
controlling.
Exactly.
At the
And I'm
beginning,
saying-
she did have a choice.
That's
Yeah.
why it's like that illusion.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
illusion of choice, because she's with Logan, she's miserable in that situation. Jody comes by on the road and she's like, oh wow, this guy, he's kind of cool, he's a sweet talker, and he's like, I'm going to the town, do you want to join me? Right? Illusion of choice. It's either you join him or you go back to living miserable. Do you want to live miserable or have a chance at a better life? Okay, we're going to go with the chance at a better life, obviously. So she goes with Jody. She has a happy life for the first few years of marriage. change. And then things start taking a downturn because he's not as shiny and as lustrous as we first saw. That illusion of choice brought her to the choice she made, which was never a choice in the first place, right? And then, okay, that relationship happens, she's miserable, he dies, Tea-Cake comes along.
Pause. Okay, so yes, Logan, she was miserable. We already know this. With
He was
Jody,
the best, though.
Objectively, Logan was the best.
Genuinely not
he was
jealous.
manipulative. I mean,
In, according to the
Didn't
book,
beat
yeah.
her,
In
didn't
the book,
cheat on her,
yes.
just made her work.
Objectively.
Really, he was ahead of his time by making the woman
but
work.
with Jody,
That's crazy.
she did not have an illusion of choice. It was a choice. She could go with him or she could not.
Right.
At the beginning.
She had the choice, right? Let me finish.
Okay.
So, it was not an illusion of choice. It was simply an opportunity to get out of the situation that she was
Right.
in. Was she blindsided? Sure. Was she lied to?
She was
sure.
also young.
Yes, she was very young. That's also something that wasn't super prominent, like in the movie. I mean, like it just they didn't really
Cover the time.
right. They
difference.
didn't cover anything like that. But so Jody comes along. She sees this pear tree. Okay, she sees this opportunity for love and excitement, and forget this old dude. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so she ditches Logan, goes with Jody. Throughout their relationship, he gets progressively controlled, like more and more. It worsens over time. That is to be expected with a narcissist, and
We've observed that he very much is a narcissist.
exactly, yes. And through every instance that it got worse, like that we saw that Janie knew, like she knew that it was getting worse.
She wasn't
knew-
naive.
Exactly. And in that way, she grew in her relationship with Jody. She matured. She wasn't so naive. She wasn't so oh love, you know,
Blindsided.
yeah,
and all.
fireworks, whatever. And then she meets Tea-Cake. Now Tea-Cake, okay, if you want to talk about Tea-Cake first, go ahead.
Okay, so Tea-Cake, again, illusion of choice. She sees this hot young buck
Are you
come.
speaking of the novel or the movie?
The novel, of
We're
course,
talking about the novel now,
the one thing, right? But if we're gonna say that the characters are what they look like in the movie, Tea-Cake, hot guy, right? As a straight man, I'm just gonna say it. It's a hot guy. Okay, comes into town, right? Sweet talks Jamie, has a bunch of fun with her, and then he's like, "Hey, let's go to this place. Let's just go." And she's like, "Okay, yeah, let's go, because I want to be with you," right? Illusion of choice. You're either with me or you're not. So she's like, "Oh, I want to be with you. I'm going to be with you." Same thing with Jody. I'm going to this town. You're either coming with me or you're not. Okay, I'm going with you. They go there, right? He spends her money on his addiction. Luckily wins it back after practicing for a week like a true addict would. Amen, brother. Then he's like, "Okay, let's go to the muck. You're either with me or you're not." Okay, I love you. I'm going to be with you. Illusion of choice.
Yeah.
She doesn't really have a choice there.
Because-
either you're with me and you experience love, the thing you've been desiring your whole life, or you don't.
Because when she was with Tea-Cake would word it like, "Hey, do you want to go to the muck? Like, would it be cool if we go to the muck?" Like he worded it not as like him controlling her, but as like a team. It's like, "Hey, do you want to do this?"
Exactly. He worded it in a way
I
so
plan on
that the
going here.
luster-
Do you want to come with me? I want you to be there with me.
He
So she
worded
said
it.
yes.
He just worded it differently than
because
Jody did.
Jody and Logan were like, "You're helping me come out. You're doing this."
Exactly.
It's the same goal, but just worded differently.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like let's say like you're at home and you're gonna do the dishes, but your mom tells you to do the dishes. Now you don't want to do it.
Now I don't
But if
wanna
she
do
didn't
the
say
dishes.
that, you were gonna do it.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Jody and Logan said, "You're gonna do this." So she said, "Oh man, I hate this. They're so
Yeah.
controlling." Tea-Cake just worded it differently,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden the luster.
Yeah,
it's so
exactly.
beautiful. It's so shiny. He's such a good boyfriend.
Okay.
But then he beats her out of jealousy. Then he cheats on her. I mean, what is so much better about Tea-Cake than Logan and Jody? There's no difference.
Yeah.
If anything, Jody didn't cheat on her. He beat her too. Logan did neither of those. Logan is the best boyfriend.
If Logan hadn't said, "I'm old, you're going to help me," if he said, "I'm feeling old, I would like you to help me,"
Oh, and all of a sudden he's so in love. He's so beautiful.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, so I would just like to say, with Jody, she felt that she had no choice because she married him out of necessity. She married him because this is a miserable and horrible place. I need to get out of here, but I have nowhere to go.
Well, she thought it was miserable.
Well,
objectively,
it really wasn't. But
yeah.
you know, she was married to somebody. She was married to this old man who there was no love, there was no passion, there was nothing. Obviously, because it's an old man. Hello.
Yeah.
But so she felt like she needed to get out. So she ran away with Jody out of necessity in that way.
Mm-hmm.
When Jody died, she even said she wasn't necessarily looking for somebody to date. Up until like right before she met Tewwg, she wasn't really looking for anybody to date. She was just kind of living her life as her own person and doing what she needed to do. And then right before Tewwg showed up, she starts thinking, okay, well, you know, maybe if I were to meet someone, like, that would be fine. But as she meets Tewwg, she finds this exciting new love, and she runs off with him, not because she feels like she has to, but because she genuinely wants to. She wants to be with him. And that's not an illusion. She has the choice to be with him or to not be with him. That's not an illusion. That's a choice that she can make for herself. And she's not a young, naive little girl anymore that's blindsided by love. She knows what she wants and she's going after her.
Yeah.
And she's going after that. And I applaud her for that. I don't care.
I agree with you on that.
I think her ultimate desire above everything, more than love, was to have to be free and independent and have a choice.
Exactly.
Above all else,
and
it was
you know
that.
what? Even if it was just an illusion, she felt like she had that choice.
Exactly.
So she went with it.
Exactly.
And
Just one thing that I wanted, because Jackie reminded me of this, when you said, Jody didn't cheat on her, but he beat her. He did cheat on her in the novel. With
Was that
the...
cheating?
Well, we don't know for
no,
sure.
that was
okay,
T-
so...
Wait,
in-
who?
Tewwg was new.
TK.
saying
Oh, you're talking
that
about Jody?
didn't
I'm talking about
Oh,
Jody.
yeah, I know, yeah.
So in the
flirtatious
novel,
stuff.
do you not consider flirtatious?
Okay, that's
literally
true.
my first
That's true. I keep forgetting about that
thing-
part, and honestly, I hate that it's always a gotcha moment on me. So let's move on.
Well, the thing is, in the book, they the town, they kind of act things out in front of the store. They kind of have, that's how they have fun, they entertain themselves.
Yeah.
They act out different plays.
Improv.
And with I forget her name, but it was Jody and that one lady.
Yeah.
Machu and Ohuri, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
That was just them acting another thing out. It was, I wouldn't say them being really flirtatious. It was just them doing another one of the faux pseudo plays.
But I mean, didn't
that the town
they-
does.
no, but
Didn't
I'm
they
pretty
quite
sure
literally
it was,
say in the book
it was
that
serious.
it was flirtatious?
It was definitely, it was
It
definitely
was not
flirtatious.
just.
They might
it was
not
not
have
just
gotten-
I don't think it was anything. I don't think it was anything like.
They might not have
ulterior,
gotten
though.
physical,
I don't think it was anything
but
ulterior.
I think they were.
Because then it also
It was like-
But then again, if you really
He-
think about it, we never get confirmation in the novel that Tewwg physically cheated on Janie.
well, it leaves it
Well, if
open.
I
It
catch-
alludes to it.
If I catch
Same
my
with Jody.
significant other in the field with, someone who's been flirting with them pretty heavy and they're both on the ground, I'm
That
not
is
gonna,
shorthand.
I'm not gonna think he's just chasing her down.
Well, the thing is,
Pardon my language, screw that.
well, Jody, remember he charged that lady for the ham or whatever that she bought.
That is true. I
Yeah,
did
if
forget
If he
about
was, if he
that
had feelings, he
part.
probably wouldn't have charged him, but he did.
Exactly.
That is
yeah.
true. Okay.
I think
I
it was-
retract my statement.
I think he was probably
Okay.
just missing that attention that Janie used to
Maybe,
give him, and
yeah.
she was
The
giving him.
flirting
So it's
and the
like,
messing
okay,
around.
And then
I'll
he
take
snapped
it.
out of it, and then he was like,
And then he hit her.
okay.
But in the end, he only.
No, I was
he only
talking
cared
about with the woman with the meat, okay? The
Yeah.
charging
Yeah.
for the meat.
Me too.
He snapped out of it because ultimately his goal was money. And
Right. He only cared about himself in his store,
Right.
in his town that
And we
he
see that,
true.
we
created.
see that
He
in
did
his
say-
relationship.
for.
We see that in his relationship with Jamie because he just dresses her up in all these nice, fancy clothes. Oh, these are the best. You're going to be better than everyone here.
That she
blah, blah,
didn't even
blah.
want.
And then in the movie, we see her take off the corset, and it's leaving indents in her skin, and
Marks,
it's
yeah.
leaving her
Bruise.
right. And we see her while she's walking throughout the town. We see her in her face and in her body language, we see how suffocated she is and how uncomfortable
Yeah.
she is. But that doesn't matter because Jody just wants a prize to show off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never truly cared about her, I don't think. Even when he first saw her, on Logan's farm and everything, I don't think he really had any true feelings of, oh, she looks like she's in pain and I want to save her. He saw this beautiful young girl who he could show off to everybody.
He saw
I don't
her
think
dirty and a mess,
and he
decided,
wanted to
"I'm gonna
dress her
bring
up. and I don't think
See
he
himself
ever
in a savior
He
role.
wouldn't even have known
that she was being treated bad, or that not treated bad, but she didn't. Yeah,
that she didn't like the life she was living.
He 100% just saw himself in a savior role in that moment where he thinks, oh, this girl's all messy and being up. I can save her. She'll praise
just
me,
has,
and then
like,
everyone
that-
will also praise me.
that
So
complex.
it's a beautiful life.
And then her sense of self will rely on me and my praise to her.
Right.
And then that's where that
narcissistic
yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
personality comes out.
That's
in.
where yeah.
Do you want to like compare and contrast husbands?
I think that's what we just did.
Yeah,
That is 100%
Yeah, we've kind
what
of
we
been
just
doing
did. Let's
that.
try to come to a conclusion on that, though. I think Jody and Tea-Cake are way more similar than most people would think. Logan, it's whatever. That was like
Okay.
a year of them dating. Honestly, we can ignore Logan.
I can get behind the statement that that Jody and T-Cake are similar, but I will not get behind the statement that they're the same or that.
Well, of course they're not the
Or
same.
T-Cake
Tea-Cake was
worse.
better. I'm saying, like, Tea-Cake was better, but if you put Tea-Cake in the modern day, there's no situation where he's not going to jail for some form of domestic, like,
Oh yeah, but
abuse
this
or
was a
something
different time
like
back
that.
then. Yeah.
I know, I'm just saying, you know, people are chalking him up to be like this great guy. He's not a good guy. I think TK is a terrible man, quite frankly. I'm glad that Janie finished the novel on her own. I think it would be better for her. She's got all the money in the
Okay,
world, that financial freedom,
yes.
which is what she needs as a black woman in that time to have any form of freedom.
Okay, so yes, it was very crucial to the novel for her to finish off on her own. But I completely disagree with the fact, with the statement that T-Cake's a horrible guy and that he's just the worst and whatever. Maybe not like the worst husband, but I disagree with the fact that he's a horrible guy. Maybe he did some bad things in his relationship with Janie. Who hasn't? Okay, people make mistakes, number one. Okay, I'm just
who doesn't cheat? Like,
No,
Who doesn't beat their wife?
cheat. Jody beat her too. What?
Is nobody here is saying Jody was better than TK. Nobody's saying Jody was good. Jody
right.
hit her with some Mike Tyson combos. But that doesn't mean that
Okay.
TK is therefore
this means
a
Logan's the
good
best.
guy. Yes.
Yeah.
Logan is
Okay, yes,
objectively the
we've
best.
already made this. We have already come to that consensus, okay? But I'm saying maybe he wasn't the best person, but he was not a horrible person.
He wasn't the
I don't
best
think so.
husband, but not the worst person.
Well,
Exactly.
his sacrifice, I have to admire. It was a beautiful sacrifice, but at the same time, I'm going to have to say he's a horrible husband. If
Okay,
I ever
he's not.
But
chose
you're
it,
talking
if I
talking about him
For
and
the
his
time,
relationship.
for the time period, it was normal for a man to hit his woman.
was slavery good then? Was
No.
slavery a good thing in the 1800s?
No.
But it was okay at the time, right?
No, I'm not saying that it's a good thing now. I'm not saying that in now times if I were to be dating somebody and then they were to hit me, like obviously that would be a bad thing. But at the time, you have to think about the context of the time. That is why the timeline and the races and the years and everything are so important. That is why the whole backstory that is included in the novel and not in the movie is so crucial to the story. Because when you think about TK being a horrible person, you look at the stuff from you look at the bad stuff from the novel, but then you look at basically just the movie and their relationship without the context and the background of the time period and of the races and of the community and of everything. You have to consider, like I said, it is not a good thing to hit your woman. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying during that time period, that is normal. That is okay.
They applauded him for it.
Exactly. And that's exactly why he did it. Because I'd have to read over the novel again, but I'm just saying, no, like modern times, that's a horrible thing. Obviously, you shouldn't hit your woman. But during that time period, that was normal, and if anything, applauded, like you said.
Yeah.
And so, for that reason, you can't really use that against him because
it was a different time.
Exactly. We did not experience that time period, so we can't say what it was like. It's just like saying, It's just like saying, oh, I understand what you're going through when you've never been through it. No, you don't understand what I'm going through because you
haven't experienced it for yourself.
You can't understand what I'm going through because you've never experienced that. So you cannot hold that against him. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say that. It might be controversial, but I'm gonna say that.
So with that being said, with slavery being applauded, let's say we read a novel, one guy has a huge slave farm, the other has a small one. The guy with the huge slave farm is applauded. Is he therefore the better person because he has a better slave farm?
What?
Just saying. 'Cause
In that time period,
In that
he
time,
would have been
yes.
applauded for it.
okay, so does that therefore mean that he's not a horrible person? Because I look back, when I think of a
Well,
slave
if you look at it, I mean,
No,
I get, from
wasn't.
today's lens, it makes him a horrible person.
yes, and
Yeah.
I'm
If
going to
you're
look
not
at everything with today's lens because that is objectively a higher moral ground than
Yes.
what
Okay.
was before.
Yeah, but you have to also
so
take
Yes,
I am going to look at
You're
TK
looking
through
at it
today's
biasly.
lens.
You are looking at it biasly.
Yeah.
because
If
you're
my
looking at
bias
it
is
from
that it's not okay to beat women, even though it was applauded in that time, then I will gladly say that I'm looking at it with a biased opinion because I don't care what time period you're in. There are people back then who looked at beating their wives as a bad thing. There is a moral high ground that you can stand on no matter the time period. And for TK to do it just because it was an applauded thing back then does not mean that it's okay for him to do it. It's an objectively bad thing. He could have been a little bit ahead of his time and said, maybe I shouldn't beat this woman who I claim to love with all of my heart and who I want to see, prosper in life. Because how is me beating her ever going to help her prosper in life, especially when it's out of jealousy for another's actions?
Okay, yes, 100%. I am with you on that. Like, no, he should not have beat her. But like I said, you need to step out of the biased lens that you're looking through, step out of today's context and into that time period's context. If you're not able to do that, then this debate is completely pointless.
Okay, let me step into the old time periods then. Cheating, completely frowned upon. Stealing money, completely frowned upon.
Sure.
And gambling it especially, completely frowned upon. So yes, I'll still say he's a horrible husband. He stole his wife's money, gambled it almost all away, barely won it back by some sheer luck. Let's say he wins back and he lost the rest of that $12. She's screwed. She has no cash on her. She has to go all the way back to the bank. And then cheating on her. I mean, obviously that's a bad thing. Obviously it's pretty obvious he cheated on her. And especially with someone who, based on the novel, is not nearly as pretty as Jamie. A heavy-set girl who just, me personally, based on what I've seen on the movie, Jamie is just, how could you ever cheat on someone like Jamie? And he did. It just puts his moral high ground on such a low level to me that I have to say, yeah, moral low ground. I just have to say he's not a good husband,
So you're
in
putting
my
yourself
opinion.
above him.
100%. I don't cheat on my girlfriends. I don't hit my girlfriends. And
You have to get a girlfriend first, though.
Sure as hell don't steal their money and gamble it all away. I would never do that. That's to me that's a horrible thing to do. Therefore, making him a horrible person and making all of the guys she got with horrible. Everybody she dated was horrible, which is why I love the ending of her being alone. I don't want her to be with anyone because at that time period, everyone is horrible. She wants to prosper on her own. The last thing she wants to be doing is getting in a relationship, even if it is TK, Jody, Logan. She doesn't need any of
I feel like it was important anyways for her to end this journey that we saw on her own, because in the beginning of the novel she's by herself. She has no idea of what romance really is. She puts it up on this pedestal and it has high expectations of it. She doesn't know anything. She's naive to it. But at the end of the novel, she's ending by herself, and we can assume she did not get with anyone after tea cake. But she's ending by herself, but now she has all the knowledge of what love actually is and of what romantic relationships actually entail, and she's more I guess you'd say educated on love than she was. Yeah, definitely more mature.
Well, the way I took it was like with each husband was like a stage of her character development. Like with the first husband, she ran away from her problems, ran away from Logan. Second husband, Jody, towards the end, she starts to get a voice. She starts standing up against him. Then of course he hit her, but she's like starting to stand up instead of just running away from her problems like she did with the last husband. And then with TK gave her the tools to be independent, taught her how to shoot, taught her how to drive, things like that. Gave her the tools, and then so everything that she learned from all three of these husbands come together, and she's able to be an independent person now that after TK dies, she's able to live her life independently with her own choices and has the tools to do so, knowing how to shoot, know how to drive, things like that, and isn't scared to stand up and say something. And yeah, like what you said earlier, I feel like if the story was longer, she wouldn't have gotten with anybody. She would have stayed living by herself and being her own person and truly understanding and being able to be independent.
Yeah.
So, going back to the debate,
I don't think we need to.
it's just, I have one last thing I have to
Finishing
say.
comments.
Okay.
So-
okay.
Now that you've presented that argument and taking away the bias lens, I can get behind what you're saying about TK not being a good person. But I will stand by the fact that I think as far as her love and her development, her just overall character, I think that he was the best husband that she had. I'm gonna leave that at that.
Okay, my
Let's leave
finishing,
that at
no,
that.
my
Let's
finishing
just-
comments.
let's
I have to make a finishing comment. T-Cake was 100% without a doubt the best husband and the most crucial for her development. Like you said, he taught her all the important parts of independence back then, like shooting, driving, all that stuff. So to a point, I have to have a lot of respect for him. And like I said, he put his life on the line for her. But yeah, just as a person, I don't think he's a good guy, you know, and based on what we heard in the novel, he might have killed someone, stabbed a guy a couple times, we don't know. Yeah,
Well, he lives
after he was gambling, and that guy came up to stab him.
He lives, like, that's the sort of life he lives, kind of like in the slums.
No, it's just-
Fast-paced,
yeah, it's just-
very
it's just a dangerous life.
reckless,
Impromptu.
yes, fun though. That's what Janie saw.
Yeah.
I know, but with all due
Life.
respect, Janie is a 40-something-year-old woman. It's
That doesn't
time.
feel like a 40-something-year-old.
I know, but it's kind of time to put the fun
Just
down.
like T-Cake said,
Let's adult.
Sound like Jody over here, Jack.
just like T-Cake said, it was like she had to spend all of her old years with someone else, and then she was able to live her younger years for him.
Yeah, that's like a good way to put it.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Do you want to discuss community and racism?
I think we
Last little
should.
bit? Yeah.
Because
Yeah, we did dive
We
into
kinda
community
just-
a little early
kinda-
on the movie. We skipped over it, so yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. The community was such a major part of the novel,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like if they like acted that out in the movie and represented that, it would have been so powerful to see, especially for like Black people in that time period.
Just like in general, like the book, it shows like different kinds of community. There's
Right.
like a proper community, like of people that help you, and like a team. It would be like in the muck. Like they brought everyone up, they defended each other.
They're all friends.
They're all friends.
And
Yeah.
see, the thing about community especially during this time period, they had the mentality of, you know, we gotta stick together, you know,
Right, we have to help each other out. We're not
Exactly,
going to
because
survive.
we have to claw our way out of
Yeah.
everything, and we have to work our asses off to get what we need to get.
Yeah.
And so there's three, okay, and we have to we have to stick together, and we have to help each other out. And the fact that that wasn't represented in the movie at all is, I mean, it's a huge bummer, because it's just like that is so crucial to all of the communities, because
Yeah.
like in Eatonville oh my gosh, I keep saying it wrong. In Eatonville, we see how, you know, it starts off with them coming together, building up this community together, everything like that, and then we see the like tight-knit bonds, kind of, but not really. Like everyone's still kind of separate. They all gossip about each other and everything. Like
Right.
they're all bringing each other down because of the hierarchy that Jody created.
Right.
But with the Mucks, it's all that everyone's friends.
Everyone truly has each other's back.
Exactly. And
They're all in the
everybody's
slums. They're all
Yeah.
like the bottom
They're
of
all equal though.
exactly. They're all, because everywhere there's a hierarchical structure, but yeah, they're at the bottom of that structure. Whereas I want to build on what you said with Jody, like, and the movie. I mean, the movie completely missed that mark. I feel like that was so crucial to explain the structure that Jody did set up. He's pinning his own people against
Yeah, they
each
did
other
not
because,
show that.
like the book said, it was the master's house and then the slaves' quarters. That's the system that Jody created. And the movie just did not expand on that at all. Again, the movie completely missed that mark. That just completely explained how Jody was more of a king, and how he, you know,
both in
made
the town and in this marriage.
exactly, yeah, and how he just suppressed Janie. He made himself a king, and that structure of Eatonville versus the Muck beautifully shows that with Eatonville having the hierarchy. Okay, these people are at the top. We're going to gossip about them if they have problems because they're at the top. Why should they have problems, right? And then, you know, we're at the bottom. We're going to gossip about each other, of course, because we want to push ourselves to the top by sounding perfect. Whereas in the Muck, we're all at the bottom. We all have our problems. We understand that. Let's stick together. Let's try to put ourselves up together.
Yeah.
you know, to beat the white man, because like they said, the white people, they owned all the farms, obviously. They didn't say they were trying to beat the white man, but become
it was
equal
more like a
to the
boss
white man.
man.
Exactly. The boss
line.
man. Just become equal to the white man. Though we're all trying to lift ourselves up. When the hurricane was coming, they came by in the car. They were like, "Hey man, we got 2 spots left. You want to hop in? Like, we can take you to safe ground." And they were like, "Nah, man, we got to get the money. We got to lift ourselves up."
As a community, Edenville was like the opposite of the muck. Like it was, you would expect. So Edenville's the first. They said the first incorporated black town. You'd think the first incorporated black town would be much more like a proper community with helping each other, but it isn't. It's the opposite. And a place called the muck ends up being the better place. And you see where people are much more happy. Janie's much more happy living there than in Edenville.
Yeah.
It's ironic how it's flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the movie, this is one thing, either accidental or on purpose, I think it perfectly embodies this. When Janie comes back after years of being gone, nothing changes in the town. Everyone's still gossiping on the porch, nothing is built, nothing has changed, nothing is advanced. It's all the exact same. It's like a stagnant town, and it's like that quote that Larson showed us, we're like a bucket of crabs. Each time one of us almost climbs out, the others grab us back
That's just
down.
what Edenville is.
Yeah, they're
what Edenville
keeping
does.
each other back down. There's no growth in that
I love
town.
how you call it a stagnant town. Like it
wonder-
literally.
After Jody's gone.
Yeah, nothing will change, and I feel like that shows a lot about how she felt when she was living there. Like, I'm stuck here. We're not moving forward. I'm not moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm suffocating here.
Yeah.
And up until she starts finding that sense of self, and when she meets Tea Cake, she ultimately feels trapped until she starts meeting Tea Cake, and then gains her sense of self through him.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to say about racism in the novel. In my opinion, don't beat me up for this, please. Racism acts as like a backdrop for the story rather than like a core component. Like some people would say like racism would be like a driving force that caused things in the story. And while I think it caused things, it isn't like a main thing. It's more part of the setting than it is part of the story.
It kind of gives context to
exactly.
a lot of the
It
stuff.
exists just like
rather than being something that's focused on and built upon. It's more so just hey, this is also a factor that you need to consider.
Because the people there, like racism, like especially during that time, they may not like it, but they don't like it, but they accept that's just part of life. Racism, segregation, that's just how they live.
Yeah.
Just like the earth, sun, and God, it just exists. That's part of
And
life.
like 99% of the characters are black, and that 1% is the boss men and the children at the beginning of the story. It's a story based on a lot of black people, and I like what you said. Racism is a backdrop. It's like
More of a setting than
it's
a part of the
exactly
story.
it's there. It's not blatantly experienced until about Mrs. Turner, and even
Right, I
then
was
she's
gonna say.
also black, but even
She
then
has that
She's
like,
immediately
internalized
and then
feeling.
she's driven out of the town for that, and it serves as more as a backdrop where it's like, okay, we're all pinned against each other. The overarching reason is racism. We're over here, Mrs. Turner is like this. The overarching reason is inherited racism. She thinks that white is better, and she thinks that her white features are better, and that's the only reason she talks to Jamie is because Jamie has white features.
Well, that was a good discussion. Thanks for listening.
Big Lar.
All hail Larson.
All hail Larson.
Larson is my main hero in the cult that I'm in.
We are the Quadcast.